So today we will be looking at Nyay, then uh, subsequently Vaisesika. First we will see Nyay. There are I think 14 pages here. No, 14 pages combined. Nyaya 9, then Vaisesika rest of them. So yeah, Nyaya is an orthodox, theistic and realistic. That means they believe in the external object's reality. They believe that the external objects really exist outside of us, outside of mind, and irrespective of whether someone is perceiving them or not. Theistic means they believe in Vedas, in orthodox. So Nyaya accepts. Nyaya is more about epistemology. Nobody is as good and as rigorous in epistemology as Nyaya is in the Indian philosophy. In fact, even in the Western philosophy, nobody comes close to Nyaya in terms of how they divide and organize the tools, the methods, the divisions, the system, the model to understand the world. 4 pramanas they accept: pratyaksh, anuman, shabda, upman. Upman is comparison. So first pratyaksha. Early Nyaya believed that mind, object and sense organs contact was needed for a valid pratyaksha to take place. But later Nyaya observed some exceptions, like you don't have any object and sense organ and mind contact, still you are seeing something like rope and snake, a snake instead of rope. No sense organ, no object exists, still you think of the rope as a snake when the proper lighting is not there. So no object was there. You have no sense organ contact with God, still you believe in God. As I said, they were orthodox and theistic because they believe in Vedas, and Vedas do refer to or point to a God. So yeah, no sense organ contact, no sense organ and object of perception. Object of perception will be God, sense organ will be our senses. No contact, still you think that they exist. So when these criticisms or exceptions like this illusion, they came to be highlighted. Nyaya later accepted that sense object contact is not universally required, although it is required in most of the cases. In some cases it is possible that even without sense organ and object contact, perception pratyaksha can be carried out validly, if that's what. Now based on the way in which the senses come in contact with their object, there are 2 types of perception: lौकिक and अलौकिक. Alaukic is extraordinary, lौकिक is ordinary. Ordinary or lौकिक further divided into 2: internal manas, external bahya, and extraordinary into 3: samanya lakshana, jnana lakshana and yoga ja. Now internals or manas is further divided into 3: indeterminate, determinate and recognition. External or bahya perception is basically 5 senses, and 5 senses and object. This is manas, this is internal one is manas, indeterminate determinate recognition. It requires mind and mind's contact with cognition or affection, cognition, and this external perception requires sense and object contact. Okay, so like mind can see, be cognizant, mind can be cognizant, no, whatever. So affection, like seeing affection, like seeing compassion or anything, being conscious of the self. Who does that? Mind does that. Okay, so this is internal perception, and this sense thing is external perception. That's part of ordinary. Extraordinary also has 3 types, as I said: samanya lakshana, jnana lakshana, yoga. So we will see it further. Connection is this: I want to study, or willing, or effort, or like realizing what is my will, what I want to do, those things, those kind of things, seeing those things is done by mind. Okay, extraordinary, samanya lakshana, jnana lakshana, yoga. Samanya lakshana, it is a perception of whole class of object through the general property of particular members of a class. It is accepted to explain the knowledge of the universals and Vyapti relations. Like samanya lakshana requires recognition of universals through Vyapti. Basically it is used in inference. Jnana lakshana, valid knowledge depends on the memory of past cognition. So jnana lakshana is for the cognition or perception or perceiving the knowledge which is stored in the memory based on the past cognition. Yogaja is I think it is by one who possesses supernatural powers, being able to see far in the future and all of that. So that's yogaja. That's probably a quality of someone who is supposed to be liberated, a yogi. Jnana lakshana is memory based. Samanya lakshana is used for inference, like from from this concomitance, universal concomitance to this thing, which is universal concomitance to being able to use universal concomitance, like where there is smoke there is fire. So when you see a smoke somewhere, then you remember that where there is smoke there is supposed to be fire, and here is a smoke, so there must be a fire. So being able to perceive these things or process these things, that's some part of samanya lakshana or perception. Now based on the stages, perception can be divided into 2: nirvikalp and savikalp. Nirvikalp is indeterminate perception, savikalp is determinate perception. Okay, immediate cognition without any characteristics, with some characteristics and nature. So basically this is a very very raw perception where you don't really process, you just see it in a snap, like see it in a blink of an eye, just quick glance, or like when you get those quick glances, you can't process things at that point of time immediately, you take some time. So the initial very raw one is part of nirvikalpa. and Savikalpa is a bit processed one, where mind gives the characteristics and everything to that visual or whatever that experience is. Now there is also one pratibhigya, recognition of something which has been already seen in the past. So it can also be called as past Savikalpa. So that is why it says 2, because mainly there are 2, but some people divide it into 3. But many people call this pratibhigya as a past Savikalpa and make part of this only. Yeah. So now coming to the second point, inference. Hetu, vyapti, hetu, sadhya. You need to understand these terms. Vyapti means niyat sahacharya, invariable and unconditional coexistence. Hetu is the reason or the evidence. For example, smoke. Where there is smoke, there is fire. So in that smoke forms the evidence, and where there is smoke, there is fire. This relation, this equation, this law-like rule of thumb, like looking thing, that thing is actually called vyapti. Universal relation, universal concomitance, or in Sanskrit, niyat sahacharya. Okay, so that's hetu, that's vyapti. Now sadhya is what are you trying to prove? Where there is smoke, there is fire, that's vyapti. There is a smoke, that's hetu. Hence there is fire, that fire thing is sadhya. It is to prove, or the proof to being proven, the one which is being proven. Where there is smoke, there is fire. There is a smoke on the hill, hence there is a fire on the hill. So here the hill is paksha, or the subject. This I don't think it is needed. Paksha plus hetu combined with vyapti jnana to form paramarsh, and paramarsh makes anumiti or knowledge. Paramarsh make anumiti or knowledge, and this whole process is called anumana or inference. So anuman is a way to reach anumiti, which is knowledge. Anuman is a way to reach anumiti. How do you reach anumiti? By paramarsh. Now what is paramarsh? It is made a combination of these two, vyapti jnana and this paksh plus hetu. Vyapti jnana is for the divide, can be divided into 2. Sama vyapti and asam vyapti. Hetu to sadhya and sadhya to hetu. That's samya vyapti. Hetu to sadhya, but sadhya may or may not imply hetu. That's asam vyapti. That is basically, if hetu is equals to sadhya, then that's samya vyapti. But if hetu is simply a subset of sadhya, then that's asam vyapti, where hetu is just, let's say, smoke, sadhya is the fire, or more generically hetu is the evidence, and sadhya is to prove. Sorry. How to establish vyapti? Well, it's a long process. There are classification of inference. How to establish vyapti? First you establish vyapti, then inference takes place, and then you will classify inferences and characteristics of vyapti. Now these are characteristics of middle term or hetu, or proof, or the evidence. These are what 5 types of fallacies. Hitwabhash. Yeah, I think these two are easy, and then you will reach to Vaisesika. So, how do you establish Vyapti? You see a pattern, wherever there is A, there is B, you confirm the absence. That's wherever there is A, there is B, that's Anvaya. Then wherever there is no B, there is no A, that's Vyatirek, that's confirming absence. Wherever there is no B, there is no A. You have to ensure no exception, avyabhichara, no exception to 1 and 2. There should be no exception to these two rules. Then remove misleading clues or upadhis. Ensure independence of A and B from any unperceived condition. So upadhi is the unperceived condition. So remove misleading clues. Ensure independence of A and B from any unperceived condition. Now, how do you ensure what do you mean by ensuring independence of A and B? That A and B are existing independently, and that there is no another cause of A and B. There is no another cause which is hidden and unseen, so that you can judge whether A and B actually exist or not. So ensure independence of A and B from any unperceived condition of Upadhi. Recheck multiple cases. Bhuyo Darshana. Repeat number of observation under different circumstances. Keep changing different parameters and perform multiple observations. Challenge your theory through tarka, hypothetical reasoning. Assume that proven thesis is wrong, and then ensure that if such an assumption is made, then whatever fact is deduced as a result of that assumption will be logically absurd. If it is not so, then that means that assumption is right, probably, and if it is right, then your whole Vyapti is not going to get established. Finally, I know this law, and that's Samanya Lakshana, that understanding inference.